Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a good night or day. A lot of times in a lot of my videos, you'll probably see me talking in metaphors or similes, or I'm a really descriptive and vibrant person in terms of describing things, almost like an author, if you will, almost like a Morgan Freeman. Anyways, I was just thinking, and I was thinking about how in the Old Testament it was talking about how a tree was going to be destroyed. And so I was thinking back in my metaphoric mind, if you will, and I was like, that's interesting. A tree will be destroyed. Well, I had a dream years ago that I don't know if I was chasing this person or if I was like in a race because it felt like we were running together, but it was like me and it appeared to be like a white woman. Don't know what that's about. But, anyways, she crossed this bridge. And when I went to go cross the bridge, also, the bridge like snapped and I fell through it and I came down to the earth or whatever and it was like poof. But what was crazy to me when I looked down and went to stand up, there was like no damage, none at all. And then what was even more wild, when I looked up, it was like a police car, like it was like two, it was like an enclave, it was like two tall like mountains, but like the police car was in the middle, almost like it was waiting for a trap. You know how like when they're waiting on the side of the road. But when I looked up at the police car, they like didn't want nothing to do with it. They were like just like, and they stayed in the car. Because in my mind, I was like, okay, they're gonna come out and arrest. I don't know why, but in my mind, I was like, okay, they're gonna come and arrest me or whatever. Because it's like that's like a deep African American thing I'm projecting, and so that's also something I have to work on at times. But also at the same time, there's a political system or a systematic system that has been oppressive towards African Americans, so that's not unwarranted. So basically, back to the beginning or whatever, I was thinking about I was just recently sitting here thinking about the tree in the Old Testament, how there's going to be like a rock that comes down or a mountain and lands on top of a tree and destroys a tree. With that's a piece of a mountain that's uncarved by human hands. So it's carved by the fire. So I was just sitting back thinking about all the metaphors, and that's essentially, if you think about it, the Ten Commandments was the stone that was cut without hands. It came from the heart or the fires or whatever. Now, if you think about most civilizations, their law tries to live by the Ten Commandments. And when I say the Ten Commandments, I don't mean like, I'm saying like most civilizations have like don't kill, don't steal, don't do certain laws, adultery and all that. And then they have like their off days or whatever their holy days, whatever. Well, then you look at it even deeper. Most civilizations have like a god or a construct set up to where you can't, even if you think of that religiously, politically, systematically, there's usually something that you can't talk about or transgress. So when you hear me talking about the Ten Commandments, a lot of time you'll hear me talking about word and spirit. I'm essentially talking about, and you'll see it in my video description. I'm essentially talking about a flint knife version of the Ten Commandments that's easy to. Oh my God, my cat's aggressive at this point. He's like, "You're gonna let me sit on your lap." Oh my goodness. He's like a Jedi. He's like, "You will let me sit on your lap." Anyways, um, what I was saying is that the word and spirit. So, like, if I was to give you Ten Commandments, I am who I am. So when I hear that, and then the I am, right? I don't think I then think like I exist, right? I'm aware I exist, blah blah blah. But then if I look at my source, it's like my parents. But then outside of that, if you want to look at that at like from a philosophical level or a scientific level, we're literally the universe observing itself. And so that can mean many different things. But from a scientific aspect, most matter is made in the stars from our intellectual understanding. And so from the sun, we get all these elements or whatever. Then the earth is formed and all this other stuff. Well, lots of time later, boom, here I am. You look at what I'm made of, carbon. Where's carbon made in the star? So you look at these different factors and you look at these things, and it leads, this is me personally, I look at these things and it's like, okay, I exist. Then I look at the Ten Commandments, right? You got God there. And that's like, okay, this is an old story, this is an old lore. These laws go back to the laws of Muat from Egypt. It's like, and if you look at Muat, she literally gave birth to a falcon son, because it was Muat, then it was Mentuhotep. But then Mentuhotep, they said identified as like the falcon, or the fiery falcon, the fiery one. And so if you really pay attention and look at this from a historical standpoint, no, I'm sorry, not from a historical standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint. Now, if you take the Ten Commandments and remove the Lord God, because that would be a German word, I'm not saying this is good or bad, because even God comes from good. It comes from Gud, from Norse mythology. And so that would be their word for God at the time, just like Baal was the word for Lord at the time, or like Asherah, or even, believe it or not, Melchizedek or Amalekites. Those were all named after a god at the time. So each of those names aren't evil depending on what they translate to. It's what they lived out to do, or what the people use those names with. And so when I look at the Ten Commandments, okay, I am that which is. I am the one that frees or binds or does whatever. Put no gods before who I am. So when I start to put that which I am, or who I am, instead of the Lord God, like the spiritual world that becomes awakened and the things that I begin to understand. So back to the original, the how the fire took out the stone without hands will crush a tree. So I was thinking about that. You have all these religions set up, and when a person is beginning to cross the bridge or do whatever they're going to do, that's their bridge or their support. That, what is a bridge? A lot of times it's a tree in the olden times, especially in the dream I was having. It was a wooden bridge. And so I then just realized that the Ten Commandments, the stone, once it was in my heart again, or really it was always in my heart, because even when people talked about God, I would get jealous and stuff. I know that was back when I was like deep into religion, but now I can understand and see properly. So it literally came true in a sense in my life, because once I got the Ten Commandments and the circumcision of the heart was reminded to me again, thanks John Core Books, shout out. Once I was reminded again of the true covenant, like a stone in my heart, I became a stone. I fell through the Christianity. I fell through all that other stuff. I like began to see through it all. And that was the tree being destroyed by the rock that was carved without human hands, because that's what the Ten Commandments was. The Ten Commandments was forged by the fire. And then, even though it was struck in the wilderness, when the apostles and the prophets tried to speak on it, and their poetry was then turned into fiery words for justification to destroy, I can see now how the word and spirit have true power. Even in this day and age, I will see certain politicians say or do certain things, and then I'll be like, ha 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 ha, that's silly. But then I'll see millions of people going and living it out or doing it. And it's like, what? How? And then I start to realize I've had the Ten Commandments as a kid. And so I always ask how or why or how or why. But some certain people have parents or have awakened themselves that gave them these spirits of being awake. So I'll give you an example. Let's say we could have parents and our parents taught us certain things. And while a lot of people don't really respect their parents nowadays, I'm just being honest, but I would like to see that change. But based on what I noticed, a lot of people are well respectful and very well mannered, whether it's Christian, atheist, Jew, Muslim, all that. None of that. I'm talking well mannered people because of what their parents taught them. And so, I'll see people all the time. They'll just vanly da 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 from what the media is showing them. But then I'll see people in everyday life that are truly awakened, that can express to me how they feel and can understand what I'm saying without being rude, without being ignorant, because I will tell you one thing I can't stand is when people use your kindness or pretend like they care or something to like try to mock you or demean you. A lot of influencers and people in the media do this. they'll like pretend like they're cool with you, but then they'll bring you on like a podcast or a debate or something and try to clown you, which some people are truthful. They'll tell you straight up like, yo, this is how I feel. Let's get into it. I'm talking about them sneaky, sedity, fake. And that's what a lot of politicians do, you know what I mean, a lot of the time. Because I'm going to just be honest with you. I don't know how it's a testament to buffoonery as to how Marjorie Greene Taylor is a congresswoman. After what I've heard, a lot of people, and I see a lot of people are in there because of supremacy and stuff, and because of their family being wealthy, or because of same thing with colleges with legacy that went for African Americans and found out it was legacy students. You know what I mean? It's the rich. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to explain to people, that the rich are trying to use their resources like the media and advertising and resourcing to be able to create these different news outlets to keep random everyday people in the machine. And so then this, I'm just trying to teach people how to use metaphors and how to use analogies to help them understand that not every time you should read something and take it so literally, but apply it like food to nutrients inside your body to help the Most High. When I point to the brain, so I'm gonna explain something real quick. Like I have who I am total, boom. But most of this is controlled by the brain. Everything is controlled. It's the brain. Well, the brain has control of the other organs. They just recently found out that the heart has wiring and neurons like a brain. The more we learn and know. So you have the high heavens or whatever. Then you have like the second heavens, the heart, all this. Anyways, the point is you have the brain, you have the consciousness, and then you have the body. And so when you look at it, I think this is just me trying to understand. I think what it is I think the brain or the Most High is like the man. I think, no. Okay, so how do I think the brain or the Most High is the I am. I think what they're trying to edify is that the consciousness is the son or the man. Either way, because the son becomes the man. So like you have the brain total, you have the consciousness, and then you have the body. I think what they're trying to say is that the body, which is the bride or the woman, then weds the son, which is the consciousness eventually, or the man, which comes both from the Most High, the brain. So if you think about that like in a more of a philosophical concept, because I'm just trying to edify what humanity wrote with these like creation stories and the Adam and Eve stuff. I think it's an allegory of saying, it's another way of saying the flesh doesn't trust in that which I am. And so who I am caters to the flesh by eating of strange fruits. So how can I explain this real quick? Okay, let's say a person is living life and they see what Christianity did in the past and what it does presently. So they're like, okay, I'm gonna jump into this and do this. But the consciousness is like, nah, bro, you see what they doing, woo, woo, woo. Person like, no, I'm gonna become a Christian anyway. So then again, the Christianity, all these pastors, like after 10 years, after 25 years, I stopped after woo years. Well, then eventually what they end up doing is they finally got to break away from it because they realize all the hypocrisy and stuff. But this is what I try to tell people. The same argument people that try to use, like, if you weren't born Christian and all this other stuff, you learned about it. The same thing could be said with homosexuality, even with straightness or any of that other stuff. Everything we know is from our instincts and our parents. And so with that being said, when you become an adult, it's up to you, like using the force, to understand what's good for who I am. Or it's up to you to decide what's good for who you are, just like it's up to me to decide what's good for who I am. Because when I see that book, the Bible, I'm telling you all, to me personally, I see a book. But I see what a lot of other people are doing is they're reading Harry Potter and taking Gryffindor so literally that they're attacking Slytherin and Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff and all this other. If you can catch my drift, you know what I mean? So what does that mean, catch my drift? If you can understand what I'm saying more clearly. So a metaphor, you know what I mean? And so I just want to get people to understand that how I just used that metaphor about the rock going through the bridge and that being the rock cut without human hands coming down. Because I'm going to explain something very plainly to people to the best of my ability. Let's say you have a human being, and within that human being, now I come up to them and give them this. Watch this, right? I am who I am. I am sent me. I am the one who binds whom I will or frees from the house of bondage. You shall have no gods before who I am. You shall not bow down to them or worship them. You shall not have any idols in the heavens, the heart, the earth, of the peoples, or of the sea, these deep books, however you want to translate it. Do not bow down to them or worship them. Do not take who I am in vain. So when I say that, I don't mean that for me personally. I mean, yeah, me too, because I don't want you to take me in vain. I don't want you to hurt me. But what I'm saying is now you say that, a law for the heart. And so then after that, you would say, thou shalt not kill or rape. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not covet. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not commit adultery, and honor thy father and mother, and keep the Sabbath holy. However it goes. But what I'm saying is, I don't use those to then go say, oh, they're sinning or they're not going to go to heaven. Or when I look at those laws, they look like some righteous laws for me to live by. So then I give them to others. I don't go then say, oh, you can't get divorced or you can't do it. That's vain to me because I got so much going on in my life. Why would I give that to y'all to tell y'all to do? So even when I say like don't steal and all this stuff, don't think it's sweet. I also know what Robin Hood is and who Robin Hood is. See, I can apply that metaphor to my life. So if people are starving and being oppressed and harmed, you think I'm going to just tell them to not go get bread any way you can? You see what I'm saying? And so I've said this many times. You have the all of the law. Love who I am with all your heart and soul and love others the same. But since people like to break that a lot, apparently, in the past, but now are getting to know that law better because even atheists and other people outside of religion are understanding I will explain to you. I watched Matt Dilvaney and Destiny, both who have good points, argue the morality of abortion in a debate. So that's religious. You just had a religious debate. You're both high priests, and all the people in your comments or followers are following you like high priests to understand what's going on. So like I said, knowledge and understanding is for those who can understand. That no matter what we do and say, eventually, like movies like Saw and Final Destination, we can become what we hate if we're not careful. But at the same time, it's not our jobs to be perfect and be like, oh, am I doing this or that? So life is that balance. Okay, I want to be some good. I might need to do this. Or I might, okay, so look. In a live stream one time, I was super sweet to a bunch of people. Then somebody got on there and called me homeless. So I told them to fuck off and start calling them some names. Why? I'm going to show you what happens when you only choose the right way and when you only do that which is right all the time. So when I say this, I'm not telling y'all not to do what's right. I'm saying when you perceive to be that ultimate Eeyore kindness all the time until you're like Eeyore. Okay, let's say somebody comes up to me and calls me a dumb fuck. Okay, love, keep going this way. Then somebody comes up to me and calls me a stupid ass that I'm from the ghetto because I'm from a projects. Okay, and Jesus says love, I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna keep doing that over and over and over until my automatic response is to be belittled and not have the courage or the encouragement or the strength to stand up for myself or what's even right. So when I see oppression and somebody truly getting harmed, oh, Jesus will take care of it. No, it's not my. You see what I'm saying? Like beating up the broken. And that's why I tell people have self-confidence, have strength in yourself. But that's why I teach people certain things. That's why I teach people along the way. Be kind. Try not to cause harm. Don't cause harm to the best of your ability. But at the same time, you're not some perfect whatever. So as long as you're not creating legions and destroying people and talking blatantly stupid, it's about basically accepting other people and understanding what they have to say. Because, like I said, anything can be turned around and twist back. That's what I'm trying. What do y'all want from me? Because the way I see it, like I said, the all along survival. That's what's the most important to me. Love Hawaiian with all your heart and soul, and others the same, and survival. Because that's our instincts. I said before, if all knowledge was taken away, or all speech, or whatever, and we just went on instincts, who knows what we would do? Might just run around, start trying to hump couches and chairs, right? So when we become humble and understand this, and know the truth of nature and our real surroundings, then we can become more aware of those surroundings and start to understand and heal ourselves and then heal the world. Yeah, watching 50 videos about racism, slavery, and all this other stuff might hurt. That's why they don't want it on. They call it I think they call it like DEI and critical race theory and all. They called this stuff in the past. They called Martin Luther King a PDF file and all kinds of other crazy stuff because truth burns some people, and so they try to fight it back. And so I said, like, boy, the prophets hurt. They was like fire. See, the kings and stuff didn't like them a lot of times, right? Because they told the truth. And so, I just try to give some metaphors and try to help people understand from my perspective, and then it might awaken some things in them, and then they might be powerful again. They might be able to understand. Because everybody that attacks with Jesus for the millionth time, greater things we will do. We are the I ams. We are that which I am, and greater things we will do. The body. We are amazing. Don't cling unto my I am. Don't cling unto me, my robes. Cling unto the Father. Who was the first one to kiss Giannis? Peter, right? Okay. What does that mean in real time? Who, even in that book still, who was the first one to find, I don't even like saying, Yeshua? Who's the first person to find Yeshua? I am gracious salvation. Boom. If I remember correctly, it was Peter. And then he wasn't righteous at all, kept being told to put a sword away, kept being told this and that. That's manifested to the Catholics, right? Josephus, right? People that didn't know Joseph and his tribe anymore. What happened when Josephus gave it to Vespasian and Titus? Or, Josephus. And then he created his own books and started doing his own stuff after Yanez or Yanan got crucified, however you say his name. You know what I mean? So, it's all right there. So I don't even, you know what I mean? And then they create these lores and stories to backtrack and try to make it seem like they're not the Pope used to write decrees, different popes and different bishops and different kings and stuff. Talking about if you don't surrender to us, we will take all your women and slay your men and take slaves under the Catholic Church law, blah, blah, blah. Y'all, I don't know. So like I said, I just try to teach to the best of my ability so that people in the future can understand and not be vexed by these lies. Hell is from Germanic paganism also, from when the Roman missionaries got done pimping out Hades and all that other stuff and went up to the Vikings and gave them Helle. So, stay beautiful, stay blessed, and stop striking the stones. Stop reading the apostles and prophets, hurting yourselves, and then using their words to oppress for the Lord Jesus that you all keep calling the Lord. Sus is Latin for pig for the 10 millionth time. So, in case you guys are wondering who Yanez is, you can type in Yehohanan, Yehohana, or that's from the Latin perspective, but I think in Greek or Aramaic or something like that, it would have been like Yahya or Yanez. And so, I don't know where Isa is. It's more, I think what they're doing is talking from an English perspective for Aramaic. It wouldn't be Isa, it'd be Yahya or something like that. I don't even know. But they're taking his spirit and creating a God out of it and naming it Jesus. They named it Joshua. Because if you look at Yanez, that's L-O. When it went to English, it would have went J-O. Yanez, Joshua. They're taking Yanez's name, and instead of Nez, they're putting Shua. So it's just a whole bunch of stuff in history. It would take so long. But I have so many videos if you guys want to watch them and stuff explaining a lot of this. But anyways, they named him John the Baptist and said he was the greatest prophet of all. Because it was apostle. Prophet, apostle. It's like the same prophet, apostle. It's a prophet, apostle, and then a poet. It's like, God damn it, man. I wish y'all would wake up with me. So a lot of people are. So stay blessed and stay humble. Their problem with, I guess, Giannis or whatever was going on, apparently from what I have, is you would have the Greeks that was taking over, and then you would have like the Canaanites, whoever Jews, whatever y'all name these people. I don't know. I don't want to argue. Y'all keep saying politicizing stuff. I don't know. The Canaanites or whatever, and once the Greeks was taking over Israel or whatever, that Sodom and Gomorrah, whatever it's called, then you would have a revolt. There was civil war. No, we don't want the Greeks. Well, the problem with that is the Greeks were doing their thing, but then the Romans came out of left field like, haha, now the Greeks, now you got the Romans, next level stuff. Well, when all this was going on, I guess fate will have it that I guess they found out who Yanez was, or Yohanan, that the Jewish community, Judaism, they call him Yochanan ben Zakkai. But what they're doing is they're taking Josephus' story of not committing suicide and escaping out of a cave to communicate with Titus of Vespasian, and they're connecting it with Yohanan's story, who actually got crucified. So that's what I'm saying when people play games of telephones and shit. And when you're a conscious thinker and you're aware and you can look at history and see what's really happening. Because Israel has this dude bone. This isn't some lore. Anyways, but that's why they're getting all this power and stuff. They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. But that's why they like Christians, because Christians are attached to the Old Testament like a child. So like Israel and their child, Christ real. So anyways, the point is, I just want to give a little bit of information. When I talk about like a lot of my videos, this is what I'm going to tell you all. An atheist will defeat themselves arguing with me, and so will a Christian. God's real name, according to that book, because y'all keep saying God, 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 which the reason I don't have a problem as much with the word God is because God means to invoke power. It's not the words or the phrases what they mean, like Baal. Baal means Lord. And so when I see the word God, that's one thing, Gudon. And it's even talking about good. So it's invoking good power. So when I see the word Jesus, I'm reading I am a gracious pig, and it's frustrating. So anyways, back to the point. Ultimately, that's why I get mad at the word Jesus. I don't know who set it up like that, no, back to the Josephus and Yohanan thing. They're switching two stories together, just like they did with the Old Testament and a whole lot of other stuff. Because Moses was an Egyptian man. I'll make you like a god to them. They're taking different things that happened in history and creating poetry with it, writing I Don't Like Ham, Africans, writing David and Solomon can't build the temple and they're warlocks. Sunesis and a Amenemop, and I found these real men. And so then it's like hilarious. Joshua got them out of Canaan, but took the sword to a bunch of stuff. But Akhenaten, right? But Akhenaten didn't leave Egypt. They followed after him outside of Egypt. Or was it Moses never left Egypt and Akhenaten was the one that went and conquered a bunch of stuff? So yeah, exactly. Just like the story of the truth. Moses never left and was stuck in Egypt, but Akhenaten went out and conquered lands. But then after them, a man named Ramses, which is in written history, who was great at first, like Samuel or like Saul, but then name went corrupt and started enslaving all the Middle East and everywhere else. So then Sunesis and Amenemop took Ramses' name out of history. After around 1100s, right? Around the time David would have been around here. So I got different videos talking about like prophets and apostles and from Egypt to America and transliterating words and names and stuff. And so, hopefully any of this can help you all and help you relax on your couches, so to speak, on your thrones.